Much needed. Now, since you asked about that, that's my positive for this week that we had to buy. No, but seriously, came at the right time, in my opinion. The fact that you get a chance to sit back and do a self-scout, I think some of those things are really underappreciated by coaches, which I've learned to really appreciate those things, because a lot of times during the season, man, you can point fingers at different situations, at different errors, and you might think, man, this has been our issue, right, this whole year. But when you do a self-scout, a lot of times you're going to find out that's not the issue. The issue is a bigger problem, or it could be a smaller problem. And it really gives you a chance to really dig in and see the things that you're really, really good at, and also see the things, man, oh, here's what we got to focus on. And during the season, man, you're so tied into, like, each game and each week that once you have these bye weeks, you get a chance to do a self-scout, man, you really get to hone in on, here's some things that we got to get better at. And I thought it was good for me. It was good for our coaches. I thought it was good for our head coach to see exactly some of the things that we got to get better at. And we look forward to continuing throughout this journey to fix those things and move forward.
When you touch those things,
surprisingly, well, no, actually, here's what I do know. Even in some of our split safety stuff that we've talked about before, it's one of the major things that we do. And one of our split safety coverages has actually been our best run defense. You know, we're giving up 2.8 yards a carry. And some of the run defense that we thought would be better was not as good. You know, so it actually goes into the philosophy of us as a defense. And we want to play as much of this split safety as we can, because it also helps us on the pass. And then in the passing game, the yards per catch is less in the split safety when you would think it'd be more, be less in the single hot stuff. So, and I think that has a lot to do with our guys just buying into what we've done during training camp until now. Another thing which I've talked about before is just the red zone. That's a real thing for us. That's a real thing. We've given up 25 touchdowns this year, right? 14 of the 25 have been from the 5 and in. 14. So you think about that. Then from the 12 to the 6, all right, that's how I look at 5 in, that's tight red zone for me. 12 to the 6, that's low red zone. From 12 to the 6, we give up another 4. Been pretty good at that. We won't give up 4 touchdowns. It's 18 touchdowns out of 25 on the season. From the 26 to the 13, all right, that's the fringe. Another 4. I think our guys done a pretty good job of not allowing explosive plays in that area of the field, right? Another 4. 22 to 25 touchdowns have been given up between the fringe into the red. So there's only been 3 touchdowns that have been given up outside of 26. So sometimes I can yell and scream and think that there's something when that's not our issue. Our issue is, how do we stop this and get better at this right now? And then look at tape and say, what are they doing? And I think we did a really good job this bye week of identify that. And then with our players, like, oh man, dang, coach, I got it. And we as coach got to make sure we have something really for them so they can be successful. So those are things that jumped out to me during this bye week.
Pittsburgh's been pretty good in the red zone.
Yeah.
And Najee, especially, I think he's got 5 games in a row with at least 75 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Just the challenge that this week poses to specifically Najee.
Man, this is just a challenging team in general, because of who they are, because of the organization, because of the mentality, and because of the culture of this team. So those are things that we have to get ready to fight, not just as a defense, just as an overall team. They've been in these situations for a long time, and they understand how to win games. But when you look at them, as far as their personnel, Najee's a really good back, right? He's a big back. Once he gets his shoulders turned downhill, man, he's hard to stop. So we got to make sure we can get that guy going east and west as much as possible. And you see it a lot in the red zone. Then the guy, the tight end that they draft out of Penn State, he's showing up. He's a good player. So those are some things that are some guys that we got to really try to focus on and not let those guys beat us and force somebody else to try to beat us. So, again, the personnel is what it is. I mean, Ben, he's a future Hall of Famer. I don't take a look at, what he can do and all this. I just know what he's done over his career. And the thing is, this team is winning a lot of close games. That tells you something about how they operate.
What do you think it says about your team that they've given up those, I think it's like 16 touchdowns inside the 5 yards? Is that a toughness factor or a technique factor?
A lot of technique and a lot of lineman issues. all right? And when teams start to move, right, we have to make sure that we understand exactly where we have to be. And that's what encourages me on this go forward, of showing the guys each and every one of those deals, and they're like, God, man, oh, I know I should have been. And a lot of that has to come with youth. It comes with youth. And then understanding, man, this is not college anymore. All right, teams motion and shift and do it to try to out leverage you and get you out of position, right? And then just going through so that our guys understand, right, which has been good for us.
Another thing you did before the bye, buried a game tape. It's certainly it's something plenty of coaches have done. I don't know if you experienced it when you were a player. What do you think that symbolic act accomplishes?
You know what? I really wasn't looking at it as a motivational factor. I really wasn't looking at it as a symbol for what other coaches did. I looked at it as myself personally, that, man, these first 8 games are over with. All the mistakes, all the arguments, all the issues, they're gone. They're done. All right, so now it's time to move on to this last part of the season. And our guys, I think they really liked it, because afterwards, I think every defensive player, when we did bury, they jumped on it. And they stepped on it, they stomped on it. What was funny, our video assistant, Shelby, she was last, and she jumped on it twice. So, but I tell you what, man, it was good to see the seriousness of all the players at that time and really understand that, listen, this is a hard game. You look at these past couple of weeks, teams that none of you guys thought that was lose games have lost games. Everyone said Cincinnati was the best thing since the slice of bread the last couple of weeks, and what they've dropped games. And the reason why, because this is a hard league. And that's what, you take teams like the Patriots that has done it so long, that's where you have great respect for those guys. Because it's hard to do it week in and week out, right? Just like our guys. Man, listen, that's what we try to pump them on. We try to be as positive as we can, right? Because this it's not easy, right? Especially the direction that we're going. But we're building something that I really, really like. We're going to continue to go forward with it.
You mentioned that off the top a little bit with the Steelers and playing their tradition and their history. Is that something really when the program gets to that level that's part of game planning for it? But it's part of what the opponent has.
But it's part of who they are. So the game is going to be a tough game because that's how they've been built. I think every coach looks for stability. Every coach wants culture. Every coach wants camaraderie within a team, and they embody that. So the thing that as a coach, it's not going to be easy because they're built this way. So when the game gets tough, gets hard, we got to make sure that we exceed that level of what they've already done and they show that they've done. All right, and when you do that, right, that kind of gives you a feather in your hat. Say, man, listen, we're on our way. All right, and we're looking forward to that challenge.
A couple more. Angela talked about this a little bit yesterday. How much do you stress to your team, your guys, that this is the second half of the season? In other words, it's a restart of the season.
Well, we do that. Anytime you come off a bye week, you look at that as a restart. Because you go that week, whatever happened the week before, you go that week and you have to think about and live with those results. So I think that's one of the reasons why we buried. Well, I know that we buried that the first 8 games, right? Because of that, man, we want to let those results be gone out of our system. Wherever you're going to go on the bye week, man, go relax and let it be gone, right? Because we have these next 9 games, right? That we got to go out there and we got to be the best that we can be.
Just one other thing too. In his Tuesday press conference in Pittsburgh, Coach there had some really complimentary things to say about Mike Tomlin did. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it was very complimentary. What is it like to have a man of his stature? It's really single you out for some of the things he likes and all that you're doing.
Well, I know Mike very well, all right? That's why I got the confidence, I'm sure. But no, he's always been a guy that I've respected, and I think just in the coaching world, you got to respect the guy. Look how many games he's won. I don't think he's had a losing season. God, again, every coach looks for that. Every coach, wants to have that on their resume. And even when times were tough, I remember, people want to run him out of Pittsburgh, right? He loses his quarterback, and he goes 8-8. I want to be a part of something like that. Where 8-8, you want to run me out of here? I mean, to me, that just goes to the standard of the organization, right, of how the fans look at the team. I want to be a part of something like that, and that's what we're trying to build here. I mean, try to run me out here, we go 8-8. I got it. I mean, that's okay. Don't run me out, but but I tell you what, that it's a lot of pressure. But again, it just goes to show that he's up for that pressure, and that just shows the sign of a good coach.
Russ, I just wanted to ask you about a young guy, Jalen, getting a little bit of time now. Just what you've seen in him and what he's done to maybe earn the increase from 24 snaps against Philly.
But I would say this: Jalen has he's impressed from training, well, from OTAs, right, to training camp, right, going into this season. In every young player, there's a time when you want to allow them to get a chance to play. Just same thing we did with Bourne, same thing with Julian. And you as a coach, have to make sure that you understand and deal with, okay, here's the time for him, this player to play. And just over the course of the season, right, it's time. It's time. You just watch him in practice. You watch him on the scout team. He's making plays. He's energetic. You want that on game day. Right, so the thing we don't want to do, we don't want to hold this player back anymore. It's time for him to go out there and play, and so he deserves to play also. So, and I think that's what coaches has embodied around this team is guys that go out there and they work their butt off and they deserve to play. Man, we're going to let them play, all right? And I think that's good for an organization because across the league, players say, hey, man, if you play well, you practice well, you're going to get a chance to play. Right? And that's what we're trying to create here.
Where did you bury the ball?
Somewhere out there.
And you didn't see Patricia's ball from a couple years ago when they
He did that? It's only one coach I heard that did that, so I heard Belichick did it. But again, that had nothing to do with those guys, man. It had everything to do with how I felt, I think how the players felt, and what we needed. Okay.